Commander Emma Foster stood at the main observation deck of Luna Base 1, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. Something was wrong. In her 15 years of space service, she had memorized every major constellation visible from the moon's surface. Tonight, several stars were missing. "Commander, you need to see this," called out Officer Kevin Brown, his voice shaking. He pointed to the main screen, where red dots blinked across a map of nearby star systems. Each dot represented a star that had gone dark in the past 24 hours. Emma walked to the console, her boots making soft thuds against the metal floor. "How many?" 57 stars have disappeared in the past day alone. It's like something's eating them." Kevin wiped sweat from his forehead. The room felt colder than usual, but fear had everyone sweating. The base's AI system, LunaNet, suddenly flashed a warning across all screens. "Alert! Unknown objects detected at the edge of solar system. Size estimate. Largest object approximately 300 kilometers in length." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She grabbed the station-wide communication system. "All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. Repeat, all personnel to battle stations." Alarms blared throughout the base. Through the observation windows, Emma could see the Earth hanging in space, beautiful and blue. She had sworn to protect it, and that promise had never felt more important than now. The objects moved faster than anything they had ever tracked. Within hours, they were past Pluto. Their shapes became clearer on the long-range cameras, massive crystalline ships that seemed to absorb all light around them. Dr. Rachel Wilson, the base's chief scientist, rushed into the command center. Her gray hair was messy, and her lab coat was wrinkled. "Commander, we're picking up an energy signature unlike anything we've ever seen. These ships, they're not just moving through space. They're eating it." A voice boomed through every speaker and device on the base. It spoke perfect English, but something about it felt wrong, like ice scraping against metal. "We are the Darkeners. Your stellar energy belongs to us now. Resistance has proven futile for all species we have encountered. Accept the darkness. It is inevitable." Emma watched as one of the smaller crystal ships approached Mars. A beam of dark energy shot from its front, and for a moment, the space around Mars seemed to bend. "Get me Earth Command. Now." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Earth's united military forces scrambled every ship they had. The Space Defense Fleet, normally scattered across the solar system, began forming a defensive line between Earth and the incoming threat. From her command post, Emma coordinated with fleet commanders around the world. The Chinese Space Force, American Starfleet, European Space Agency, and Russian Cosmic Defense all put aside their usual rivalries. Today, they were just humans facing extinction. "All ships, hold position at Defense Line Alpha," Emma ordered. She looked at the tactical display showing over 500 human ships forming a barrier around Earth and Moon. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in human history. Dr. Wilson rushed back in with new data. "Commander, we've analyzed their energy signature. They're not just consuming light. They're harvesting all stellar energy. If they reach the sun," Emma finished the thought, "Earth dies." She turned to her crew. "Send this to all ships. We are humanity's last line of defense. Whatever these Darkeners are, they've never met humans before. Let's show them why that was their biggest mistake." The crystal ships drew closer. Earth's fleet looked tiny compared to the massive alien vessels. But Emma noticed something interesting on her displays. The Darkeners' movements were perfectly coordinated, almost mechanical, predictable. She smiled slightly. If there was one thing humans were good at, it was being unpredictable. "All ships, prepare for combat. Authorization to use all experimental weapons. Remember your training, but don't be afraid to improvise." Emma took a deep breath. Humanity didn't climb out of the caves, reach for the stars, and build all of this just to watch it go dark. The first shots were about to be fired in a war for the stars themselves, As Emma watched the approaching enemy, she remembered an old quote: "It's better to light a candle than curse the darkness." Today, humanity would light more than candles. They would fight for every spark, every ray of light, every star in the sky. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. Lieutenant David Cole stared at the broken weapon on his lab table. 3 days had passed since the first battle with the Darkeners, and Earth's regular weapons had proven useless against their crystal ships. The fleet had lost 37 ships in the first engagement alone. "Try it again," he told his team. The underground facility in Colorado buzzed with activity as scientists and soldiers worked together on Project Lightbringer. They had exactly 1 week before the Darkeners would reach Earth. Dr. Alice Warren, their lead scientist, adjusted her safety glasses and powered up their latest prototype. The weapon looked simple, a long blade made of a special metal that could channel quantum energy. But making it work was anything but simple. "Power at 30%, she called out. The blade began to glow with a soft blue light. 40%, 50. The blade shattered, sending pieces flying against the safety shield. Alice slammed her fist on the table. "That's the 5th one today." David picked up one of the broken pieces. Something caught his eye. "Wait, look at this part where it broke. The metal isn't just breaking, it's singing." Alice rushed over with her scanner. The broken edge of the blade was vibrating at a quantum level, producing a tiny amount of energy that matched the Darkener ships. "That's it." David jumped up. "We've been trying to make a weapon that hits them. We should be making one that sings to them instead." The next 12 hours were a blur of coffee cups and welding sparks. They'd rebuilt the blade, but this time they added tiny quantum resonators along its length. Each one could vibrate at a different frequency. Like a musical instrument, Alice explained to the base commander during their briefing. But instead of playing music, it plays with the fabric of space itself. A scout ship from the Darkener fleet made their decision more urgent. It appeared near Mars, starting to set up what looked like an energy collection station. "We need to test it now," David said. "Permission to take the prototype to Mars." The commander looked at the strange glowing sword, then at the image of the Darkener ship. "Granted. But be careful. We only have 1 shot at this." David led a small team on a stealth ship toward Mars. The prototype Star Blade was secured in a special case. As they got closer to the Darkener scout ship, everyone grew quiet. Their ship's lights were dimmed to avoid detection. "Their shield patterns are consistent," reported Sarah Miller, their pilot. "Just like the data showed. They're perfectly ordered. No randomness at all." David took a deep breath and put on his spacesuit. That's going to be their weakness. Humans are anything but ordered. He grabbed the Star Blade's handle. "Opening airlock now." He pushed off from the ship, the blade dark in his hands. The Darkener scout ship loomed ahead, its crystal surface eating all light around it. David activated his suit's thrusters, moving closer. The blade came to life in his hands, but this time it didn't break. Instead, it began to pulse with different colors, each quantum resonator adding its own note to a symphony of energy. The Darkener ship noticed him. A beam of dark energy shot out, but David was ready. He swung the blade, letting his movements flow naturally, like he was dancing in space. The blade's energy met the dark beam. Light exploded outward. The Darkener beam scattered, disrupted by the chaotic energy patterns of the Star Blade. David pushed forward, swinging the blade in patterns no computer would ever design. Each movement sent pulses of energy that made the crystal ship vibrate. "It's working," Alice shouted through the radio. "The ship's energy pattern is destabilizing." Cracks appeared in the crystal surface of the scout ship. Light began to leak out from inside it. David spun in space, bringing the blade down in one final arc. The ship split apart, its perfect order shattered by human chaos. Back on the stealth ship, David looked at the blade with new respect. "How many more can we make?" Alice smiled. "Now that we know the secret, as many as we need. Every soldier can add their own touch to the blade song. Sarah pointed to her screen. More Darkener ships are changing course. They're heading this way. Let them come, David said, watching the Starblade pulse with light. We'll teach them that humans don't just resist the darkness. We break it apart with our own light. For the first time since the Darkeners appeared, hope glowed brighter than fear. Major Robert Hunt stood on the bridge of the UES Defiant, watching his fleet of 200 ships move into position. Each ship now carried at least 5 Starblade warriors, trained in the art of quantum combat. They were humanity's best hope. Darkener fleet approaching, announced Jack Wilson, his radar officer. 5 capital ships, each bigger than the first ones we saw, plus about 50 smaller vessels. Robert adjusted his uniform collar. The past week had been nothing but training and preparation. Now it was time to see if it would be enough. All ships, battle formation Delta, he ordered. Starblade teams, prepare for space drop. The plan was simple but dangerous. Their regular ships would provide cover, while the Starblade warriors engaged the enemy directly. The enemy ships appeared, their crystal surfaces making them look like giant shards of dark glass moving through space. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. "Sir, they're broadcasting," Jack said. A cold voice filled the bridge. "We have encountered many species in our harvest. Some fought with beams, others with missiles. One used artificial suns. All failed. Your primitive light weapons will not stop us." Robert smiled. Primitive. Maybe. But sometimes the old ways work best. All ships, begin attack pattern. Show them how humans dance. The space between Mars and Jupiter erupted in light and shadow. Human ships darted between the larger Darkener vessels, their movements random and unpredictable. From each ship, small figures emerge, each carrying a glowing blade. "First wave, engage," Robert ordered. He watched as the Starblade warriors pushed off from their ships, their weapons leaving trails of light behind them. The Darkeners seemed confused by this approach. Their ships fired dark energy beams in perfect patterns, trying to predict where the humans would be. But humans rarely did what was expected. Carol Anderson, leading the first Starblade team, spun through space like a dancer. Her blade cut through a dark energy beam, splitting it into harmless sparks. "These creatures really don't understand chaos, do they?" she said over the radio. "They're too perfect," Robert replied. "Too ordered. That's why they can't handle our fighting style." The battle grew fiercer. Some human ships exploded under the Darkener assault, but the Starblade warriors were doing damage too. Wherever their quantum-charged blades struck, the crystal ship's perfect surfaces cracked. Then something unexpected happened. A Darkener ship broke apart, but instead of exploding, it released a cloud of pure energy. The energy formed into shapes that looked almost human. Major, one of the energy beings, spoke directly into their minds. "We have destroyed countless civilizations, but none have ever damaged our vessels like this." "How?" Robert stood firm. "Because you don't understand what you're fighting. Humans aren't perfect. We're messy, chaotic, creative, and that makes us strong. We bring order to chaos," the being replied. "We harvest stars to prevent the entropy that will end all things." "Life isn't about preventing endings," Robert said. "It's about making the most of every moment, including this one." All units, attack pattern Omega. The Starblade warriors moved as one, but each in their own way. Carol led her team in a spiral pattern. Another team wove between enemy ships like a school of fish. Each warrior added their own style to the battle, creating a dance of light that the Darkeners couldn't predict. The largest enemy ship began to break apart. More energy beings emerged, their perfect forms disturbed by the chaotic quantum energy of the Starblades. "Fall back to defensive positions," Robert ordered as he saw more Darkener ships approaching from deeper space. They had won this battle, but the war was far from over. As the human fleet regrouped, Robert looked at the damage reports. They had lost 43 ships and 12 Starblade warriors, but they had destroyed 5 major Darkener vessels and proven they could be hurt. "Sir," Carol's voice came over the radio as she returned to the ship. "We found something in the wreckage. Data crystals. The Darkeners have been doing this for millions of years. We're the first to ever break their ships." Robert nodded. "Then we'll be the first to stop them completely. But we need to warn Earth. They'll be back, and next time they won't underestimate us." The fleet turned homeward, their starblades still glowing. They had reached a breaking point, not their own, but the Darkeners. For the first time in millions of years, the perfect order of these cosmic harvesters had been disrupted by human chaos. The stars might be growing dark, but humanity's light was just beginning to shine. Captain Lisa Chen never expected to become humanity's chief diplomat to alien refugees, but here she was. The space around Earth had become crowded with ships of all shapes and sizes, carrying survivors from worlds the Darkeners had already harvested. She stood in Earth's new Space Command Center, watching as another fleet of refugee ships appeared near Neptune. This group looked like giant silver leaves drifting through space. "The Arathi have arrived," her assistant Ben Parker said, checking his tablet. "That makes 7 alien species now sheltering in our solar system." Lisa nodded. The Arathi were plant-like beings who had escaped their dying star system just days ago. Like the others, they had come to Earth because of the stories they'd heard. Stories about humans fighting back against the Darkeners. "Bring their leaders to Conference Room 3, Lisa said, "and please make sure we have proper light settings for them. They photosynthesize differently than Earth plants." The meeting room was already full when the Arathi leaders arrived. Around the table sat representatives from other refugee species, the crystal-bodied Zorax, the liquid metal Mirians, the gravity-controlling Vex, and others. All of them had lost their homes to the Darkeners. "Welcome to Earth's solar system," Lisa said to the Arathi. "We understand you have technology that can help grow food in space." The tallest Arathi, whose leaves shimmered with rainbow colors, moved forward. "Yes, we can create gardens that float in space, but we need protection. The Darkeners follow us." As if on cue, alarms started blaring. The main screen showed a massive Darkener fleet approaching, bigger than any they'd seen before. All civilian ships moved behind Earth's defense line. Lisa ordered through the emergency broadcast system. "Defense fleet, prepare for engagement." She turned to the aliens in the room. "We've been sharing our Starblade technology with your warriors. It's time to use it." The next few hours were chaos. Lisa coordinated from the command center as ships from 8 different species formed battle lines. Human Starblade warriors fought alongside crystal warriors from Zorax and gravity-wielding Vex soldiers. "The Darkeners aren't used to this," Ben said, watching the battle displays. "Look at how confused their attack patterns are." He was right. The Darkeners' perfect formations were breaking apart as they faced warriors from multiple species, each fighting in their own unique way. A group of Mirian ships flowed like liquid silver around Darkener beams. Arathi vessels released clouds of glowing spores that stuck to the crystal ships' surfaces. "This is why they're really here," Lisa realized. "Not just for shelter. Each species brings something new to the fight." A Darkener message boomed through all channels. "Your chaos cannot stop the inevitable. Order must prevail." Lisa grabbed the communication system. "You're wrong. Chaos isn't weakness. It's strength. Every species here proves that life finds a way, no matter what. And together, we're stronger than apart." The battle raged for hours. They lost ships and brave warriors, but the combined fleet held its ground. For the first time, the Darkeners were forced to retreat. After the battle, Lisa met with the alien leaders again. The room felt different now. They weren't just refugees anymore. They were allies. "The Darkeners will return," the Zorax leader said, his crystal body reflecting the room's lights. "But now we know we can hurt them." The liquid metal Mirian representative rippled in agreement. Our people can help improve the star blade design, make them even more effective. And our gardens can feed the fleet, the Arathi added. We will grow new life while we fight to save the old. Lisa looked at the battle reports. They had lost many ships, but they had also learned important lessons. The Darkeners couldn't handle multiple species fighting together, each adding their own kind of chaos to the mix. Then let's get to work, she said. Earth isn't just humanity's home anymore. It's a beacon for all who want to fight back against the darkness. As she walked to her next meeting, Lisa passed a window showing Earth below. Around it, ships of all shapes and sizes moved in complex patterns, like a dance of stars. Some carried refugees, others defenders. All of them represented hope. The Darkeners thought they could bring perfect order to the galaxy. Instead, they had united its chaos against them. Dr. Alice Warren hadn't slept in 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered her lab in the underground facility. But she didn't care about sleep. She had finally found something amazing about the star blades. Look at this, she told Commander Emma Foster, who had come down from Luna Base to see the discovery. Alice pointed to a screen showing brainwave patterns. Every time a warrior uses a star blade, their thoughts affect the blade's energy. What does that mean? Emma asked, leaning closer to the screen. It means the blades aren't just weapons. They're extensions of us. Our emotions, our creativity, our chaos. It all flows into the blade. Alice picked up the newest prototype. And I think I know how to make them stronger. Just then, the base shook. Above ground, the Darkeners had begun their attack on Sol, Earth's sun. They were trying to build a massive energy collector around it. We're out of time, Emma said. How fast can you upgrade the blades? Alice smiled. I already did. I need volunteers to test them. 20 Starblade warriors gathered in the testing chamber. Each held a new blade that glowed brighter than the old ones. Among them stood David Cole, now a veteran of several battles. The new blades will connect directly with your minds, Alice explained. Don't try to control them. Let your feelings flow through them. The more human you are, the stronger they'll be. What do you mean, more human? Asked Karen Martinez, one of the younger warriors. Dance, sing, laugh, cry. Feel everything, Alice said. The Darkeners don't understand emotions. That's our advantage. The test began. As each warrior activated their blade, the room filled with different colored lights. David's blade pulsed blue with determination. Karen's sparkled red with excitement. Another warrior's blade swirled with green as he thought about his family. Energy outputs are off the charts, Alice said, checking her instruments. The Darkeners won't know what hit them. Emma's communication device beeped. The collector is almost complete. If they activate it, the sun will start to die. Then let's go save it, David said. The other warriors nodded. Their ships launched toward the sun, where a massive crystal structure was taking shape. Thousands of Darkener ships guarded it. Remember, Alice's voice came through their radios. Don't fight like soldiers. Fight like humans. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. Starblade warriors moved through space, their weapons glowing with pure emotion. Some spun and danced, their blades leaving trails of light like shooting stars. Others moved in groups, their feelings combining to create powerful waves of energy. Karen led a team that flew in formation while singing an old fight song. Their blades pulsed with the rhythm, shattering Darkener shields. David thought about Earth's oceans as he fought, his blade flowing like water through the enemy lines. The Darkeners couldn't understand it. Their perfect patterns broke apart against the storm of human emotion and creativity. The collector is weakening, Emma reported, but we need more power. Alice watched from her lab. It's time, she said, and pressed a button. Every star blade suddenly glowed brighter. Through them, the warriors could feel each other's emotions, their hopes and fears combining into something new. What's happening? David asked as his blade blazed like a small sun. I linked all the blades together. Alice explained. You're feeling every human emotion at once, all our chaos, all our dreams, all our strength. The combined power of human emotion surged through the star blades. Waves of energy, colored with every feeling imaginable, crashed against the Darkener collector. The perfect crystal structure couldn't handle so much chaos at once. Cracks appeared in the massive collector. Light poured from them, growing brighter and brighter. Then, with a flash that lit up the whole solar system, the collector shattered. The Darkener ships retreated, their perfect formations broken. For the first time, they had faced the full power of human emotion and creativity. "The sun is safe," Emma announced. Cheers filled every radio channel. In her lab, Alice smiled at her screens. The star blades were still glowing, powered by joy and triumph. She had proven what she suspected all along. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the blades themselves, but the sparks of chaos, creativity, and emotion that made them human. The stars might be dark, but human hearts still burned bright. Operation Daybreak began at what used to be dawn on Earth. The largest fleet ever gathered in human history moved through space. Ships from Earth mixed with vessels from 7 alien species. All of them carried warriors with star blades. Major Robert Hunt stood on his command ship, looking at the battle map. "This is it," he said to his crew. "Today we take the fight to them." The plan was bold. While Commander Emma Foster led the main attack, Robert would guard Earth's last star blade factory hidden in the asteroid belt. They couldn't lose it. It was the only place left that could make the special weapons. "Darkener fleet approaching," his radar officer said. "It's the biggest one yet." The space around them filled with crystal ships. They came in perfect lines, like dark stars moving together. But something was different this time. The ships were changing shape, combining into larger forms. "They're adapting," Robert said. "They've learned from their losses." He grabbed the ship's radio. "All units, spread out. Don't let them trap us." The battle exploded across space. Starblade warriors from Earth fought alongside alien allies. Human ships protected Arathi garden vessels, which released clouds of glowing spores. Mirian liquid metal ships flowed between enemy attacks like silver rivers. Robert's job was to keep the factory safe, but the Darkeners seemed to know how important it was. They sent wave after wave of ships toward the asteroid belt. "Sir," called out Sarah Miller, now his second in command. "They're targeting the factory's power core." Robert looked at his battle screen. If the factory fell, they couldn't make more star blades. Without the blades, humanity would lose its only effective weapon. He made his decision quickly. "All hands, abandon ship. Get to the escape pods." "Sir." Sarah looked confused. "That's an order, Lieutenant." Robert smiled at her. "Someone needs to tell this story." The crew evacuated. Robert turned his ship toward the largest Darkener vessel. The Starblade factory had to survive, no matter the cost. "You want to learn about human chaos," he said over an open channel to the Darkeners. "Let me teach you." He pushed his engines to full power. His ship glowed hot as it picked up speed. On the way, he fired every weapon he had, creating a mess of explosions and debris that confused the Darkeners' perfect patterns. The enemy tried to hit him with their dark energy beams, but Robert flew like he never had before. He dodged and weaved, each movement random, guided by pure instinct. Just before impact, a Darkener voice filled his ship. "Why do you sacrifice yourself? It is not logical." Robert laughed. "That's exactly why we're going to win." His ship crashed into the Darkener vessel at full speed. The explosion was massive, taking out not just the target but 3 other enemy ships too. The factory was safe. Far from the battle, Lieutenant David Cole discovered something important. He had managed to enter a damaged Darkener ship and found himself in a room full of pure energy. "Dr. Warren," he called through his radio. "I think I know what they really are. They're not just energy beings. They're afraid of running out of energy. They think the universe will grow cold and dark." So they're stealing the star's energy to save it for later. Alice's voice crackled back. Yes, but they're doing it wrong, David said. They don't understand that life finds ways to make new energy, new patterns. They're so scared of chaos that they're killing everything that could help them. The battle raged on. News of Major Hunt's sacrifice spread through the fleet, making every warrior fight harder. Star blades glowed with determination and courage. Then something amazing happened. In a distant part of space, a star that had gone dark began to shine again. Then another and another. The Darkeners are losing control. Emma's voice came over the fleet channel. Their perfect order is breaking down. Push forward. The combined fleet moved as one, but each ship and warrior fought in their own way. There was no pattern to predict, no order to counter. Just life, in all its beautiful chaos, fighting back against the dark. As the battle turned in their favor, David looked out at the stars. Some were still dark, but others were beginning to shine again, like hope returning to the galaxy. Major Robert Hunt's sacrifice had given them a chance. Now they had to make it count. Commander Emma Foster stood on the bridge of the UES Hope, leading the final assault on the Darkeners' main fleet. Behind her ship flew thousands of vessels from Earth and their alien allies. The largest star blade ever made sat in the ship's center, a creation Dr. Alice Warren called the Master Blade. "All ships report ready," said Captain Lisa Chen, now Emma's second-in-command. "The Arathi Gardens are powering our shields. The Mirian ships are in position. The Zorax Crystal Warriors are waiting for your signal." Emma looked at the massive dark structure ahead of them, the Darkeners' command center. It was huge, like a black crystal star eating all light around it. "Dr. Warren, is the Master Blade ready?" Emma asked through the ship's comm system. "Ready as it'll ever be," Alice replied from the science bay. "Remember, this blade doesn't just channel human emotions. It can reverse what the Darkeners did to the stars. But we have to get close enough." The Darkener's voice boomed through space. "Your resistance ends today. Order must prevail. The star's energy must be preserved." "You're wrong," Emma broadcast back. "The universe isn't dying. It's growing. Living things make new patterns, new energy. Your perfect order is killing the very thing you're trying to save." She turned to her crew. "All ships, attack pattern freedom, just like we practiced." The battle that followed was like a huge dance in space. Human ships moved in random patterns while alien vessels added their own unique moves. Starblade warriors flew between them, their weapons glowing with every color imaginable. The Darkeners fought back hard. Their dark energy beams cut through space, trying to stop the attack. But they couldn't predict where anyone would move. There was too much chaos, too much life. "We're getting closer," Lisa reported, "but their defenses are still too strong." Emma watched as more ships were hit, good people lost in flashes of light. Then she remembered something David Cole had discovered. The Darkeners were afraid. Afraid of the universe dying, afraid of losing control. "All warriors," she called out, "stop trying to fight perfectly. Show them what life really is. Sing, dance, create." The effect was immediate. Starblade warriors began moving in new ways. Some spun through space, others flew in spirals. Many began singing old battle songs, their blades pulsing with the rhythm. The Mirian ships flowed like rivers of light. The Zorax warriors created crystal patterns that changed constantly. Arathi vessels released clouds of glowing spores that formed beautiful, random shapes. The Darkeners couldn't handle it. Their perfect formations broke apart, confused by so much unpredictable life. "Now," Emma ordered, "get us to the command center." The UES Hope flew through the chaos, protected by its allies. They reached the massive dark structure, and Emma saw their chance. She ran to the science bay where Alice waited with the Master Blade. It was 3 times larger than a normal star blade, and it glowed with all the colors of life. "It needs both of us," Alice said. "My science, your leadership. Together, They grabbed the master blade. Emma felt every human emotion flow through her: hope, fear, joy, sadness, love. Alice added her knowledge and curiosity. The blade grew brighter and brighter. Now, they shouted together. The master blade released a wave of pure life energy. It hit the Darkener's command center and spread outward like ripples in a pond. Everywhere it touched, stars began to shine again. The Darkener's perfect crystal ships started to change. Instead of breaking, they transformed. The energy beings inside finally understood. Life wasn't about perfect order. It was about growing, changing, creating new things. "Look," Lisa called out. All across space, stars were coming back to life. Not just returning to normal, but burning brighter than before. The galaxy was waking up. The Darkener's voice spoke one last time, but it was different now. "We understand at last. Life creates. Life grows. Life changes." Their ships transformed into beautiful crystal patterns that shifted and moved like art in space. They weren't destroyers anymore. They had become creators. Emma looked out at the galaxy. Stars sparkled everywhere, and ships from 8 different species flew together in a beautiful dance of chaos and life. "We did it," Alice said quietly. "We showed them that the darkness isn't the end." "No," Emma smiled. "It's just another chance for light to shine." And across the galaxy, countless stars burned bright in the night, proof that life, in all its wonderful chaos, would always find a way to shine.